Last night, the Rams and Seahawks in a critical battle near the top of the NFC West at CenturyLink Field, where they would honor Paul Allen last night. Into the Ring of Honor, of course, passed away last year. Late first quarter now. Seahawks are down 6-0. And Louis Riddick, this might just be the play of the NFL season so far.
Yeah, look, this is sick. There is no defense against a pass like that where he's dropping it into a box that's about, 6 inches by 6 inches. And what Tyler Lockett is able to do right there as far as sideline awareness, getting his feet down and still controlling the football, that's something you can't teach. Coaches take no credit for that. That's just something you're born with. Russell and Tyler got it going on.
Seahawks up 7-6, and then it's DK Metcalf who has emerged as their deep threat. He's wide open.
I mean, that's unbelievable. And look, this is something the Rams are going to have to address. Sean McVay said they have some work to do. They'll figure it out. As far as what's happened over the past 2 weeks, that's one of the things right there.
And it turns into a good game. Rams now with the ball down 14-13, first and goal. Where's Todd Gurley? There's Todd Gurley. Takes it in for one of his 2 touchdowns on the night, and the Rams have a 20-14 lead. Under 6 minutes to go. Seahawks down 29-24. What you got, Russell Wilson? Here, watch this play here as he's rolling to his right. Clay Matthews going to get a flag thrown here. Jonathan Vilma, what do we think?
I can't stand it. That is not roughing the passer. Watch this. He doesn't even lead with his head. He leads with his shoulder. The ball was just thrown, and that's the reason why Seattle was able to extend this drive.
He doesn't hit him with the head. He doesn't hit him in the head. One way or another, it's a bad call, and it leads to this. On a nice play here, it is Matthews getting the call, and then it's Chris Carson on a 4th down. Oh, he almost drops it. But he hangs on in the corner of the end zone, and that gives Seattle the 30-29 lead in the 4th quarter. They go for the 2, they don't get it. So, Jared Goff, what you got? Just over 2 minutes to go. A 3rd and 10 from the 36. This ball should probably be caught by Gerald Everett. Then it is caught off the ground. It's initially ruled incomplete. They go back, they challenge, and it is ruled an interception.
Yeah, this is a great job. Getting your hand underneath the football, tremendous concentration right here, sticking with it. And you're right, that's one of those passes that Gerald Everett should have caught. I mean, Jared Goff, without a doubt, gave his team a chance to win last night. He had some pinpoint accuracy in some tough situations for them in the 4th quarter.
Now, he wasn't done yet, though, because the Seahawks have a chance to ice it. But this is the play they run on a 3rd and 2. Eventually, it's Tyler Lockett. He's going nowhere. So, Jared Goff, I'll ask it again. What you got? He's got plenty. Goff moving them down the field. This time, Everett will hold on a nice throw, and the Rams are in field goal range. And is there anyone you would rather have the game depend on than the strong leg of Greg the Leg Zuerlein? 15 seconds, 44 yards for the win.
No.
Oh, it's that close. Sometimes NFL games literally come down to that. Remember this moment when the season comes to an end. If these teams are battling for the division or the playoffs, he misses by that much. And there's euphoria in Seattle. They win it by 1.
I thought Russell played one of the best games I've ever seen him play. I just have never seen him have so much, speaking of magic, in him.
Best game I ever played. I left it all on the field. I left it all out in the field. Coach and I were just talking about that. It was one of the best, I think. I think, though, guys were making plays like crazy tonight.
We have a hungry group. These wins are going to continue to feed us so that we can be able to keep going and keep going. We still haven't seen what we're capable of. We've seen the things that we've accomplished, but there's so much ahead that we could be able to do.
Well, let's talk about Russell Wilson. He's having his best year. Through 5 games, he has a career best, as you see, in just about everything. And they're 4-1 for the 3rd time in his career. One of those times was 2013 when they wound up winning the Super Bowl. So let's come out and talk about this. And Bobby, I'll start with you. They should just rename the MVP award the Patrick Mahomes Award and give it to somebody else, because he's sort of running away and hiding. But if we were to do that, would Russell Wilson get it this year to this point?
You would have to, because of what he's done. I mean, Seattle, they run the ball okay. Their offensive line isn't great. They rely on him to make plays off schedule out of the pocket. When I'm watching that tape last night, there's only 3 guys in the NFL that can run and throw deep balls that way. Pat Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, and Russell Wilson. It does an unbelievable job putting touch on the football, keeping his eyes downfield. It's a little bit unconventional. And let's not forget how strong he is and his ability to break tackles as well, Greeny.
Sanchez, I want to hear just from you, through a quarterback's eyes, what are you seeing in the way Russell Wilson is playing last night and this whole season?
He's an absolute gamer. It looks like pickup basketball. I mean, some of these throws he's coming up with. One, he had a ton of time in the pocket before he throws it to Lockett in the back corner. And then he rolls out to his left. I mean, slams on the brakes, throws a ball, like you said, in a 6-inch box. This kind of stuff, the only time he stays in the pocket and stays on schedule is quick game. If it's play action, if it's drop back, He is out of there. This guy, look at how slippery he is. Like a salmon covered in Vaseline, man. I'm serious. This guy's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it.
Salmon's a good reference, and they play in Seattle, too. That's very well done. But, Lewis, let's spin it to the bad news, because we can talk all we want about how great he is throwing on the run. Part of the reason is because he's frequently running for his life.
Yeah, that's been the case over the past couple of years, quite honestly. And one of the reasons why Pete Carroll wanted to get back to a more balanced offense, because he wanted to have the benefit of play action, so pass rushers would have to slow down and think just for a second, so everything didn't become off schedule like it does now. But quite honestly, improv Russ is the best Russ. When he is off schedule is when, as a defender, you sit there and go, hey, there's nothing I can do.
What are they going to do?
I mean, we can't cover forever, and if you don't get pressure on him, you're done. I don't care how good your secondary is, you're done, because he's just too good as far as throwing on the run.
I feel like the play that they call is like an essay prompt. It's just the beginning, like, hey, you can do this if you want. But
many times it looks like the play call in the huddle is Russell, drop back, do something.
Here's all you
on one break, go.
Here's all you need to see, like, out of the pocket, the guy's 6 of 8 for 124 yards. Like, nobody has that type of accuracy and those type of big gains down the field.
So as a linebacker, Vilma, I always turn to you in that way, because no one is a linebacker more than you are a linebacker. What are you going to do with a guy like that? Because he throws it so well on the run, and he has the remarkable knack for never taking a big hit. For a guy who runs around as much as he does an extraordinarily good job of not getting hit a lot.
So when we did play against them, we would try to make 3-man D-line stunts. So what we would do is flush him out to one side. The hardest thing to do as a defender is watch a man like Russell Wilson, as slippery as he is, to go down and then have a two-way go, whether it's left or right, through, and then now he's extending the play. So what we would do is make sure that we had him go to one side. So at least we said, all right, we know he's going to the right, or we know he's going to the left. Now we can defend at least, and then have the sideline as our friend to help out. So that's what we would do, and teams have to do that. Now, it's easier said than done, right? You can say that and talk about all you want to, but you have to execute it, and it's tough for the Rams when you have legitimate defensive linemen that are legit pass rushers, and they're saying, I don't want to do that. I want to go get sacks, until you see what happens on the field.
And usually you always want to force them to their non-dominant hand. Russell's right, force him to his left. But if you watch the pass there to Lockett, in the back, he's fading to his left and throws it back across his body. Nobody does that. Pat Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers, the only other two guys I've seen make plays like that.
All right, so the Seahawks get a huge win in a game that could wind up being very important down the road. Let's talk about the team they beat last night. Sort of an up-and-down night for the Rams in a variety of ways. Jared Goff, huge numbers. He threw for 395 yards and a touchdown, but he did turn the football over for the 5th straight game. So that's obviously something that they need to clean up. Todd Gurley, there's been a lot of conversation about how little he's being used. He had his 15th career game with multiple rushing touchdowns that passes Eric Dickerson for the most in Rams history. He did also, though, lose a fumble deep in Seattle territory. And the Rams defense gave up 30 points after giving up 55 last week. That's 85 in a 2-game span. Sean McVay, let's talk.
We got a lot of football left. The season never stops after 5 games. It's been 2 disappointing weeks for us, but I can promise you that we'll find a way to bounce back. Our team is mentally tough. We're resilient, and we got a great team coming up when we get back from this thing. So it's disappointing, but we'll stay connected, and we'll find a way to respond. I trust that.
Well, one of the ways they may go about trying to respond is to run the ball. In the last 2 games, Jared Goff, that is not a misprint. It's not a typo. He has thrown 117 passes in their last 2 games, and in that span, Todd Gurley has touched the ball 30 times. I get they were getting blown out early against Tampa last week, but that wasn't the case last night, as we just showed you. I want to talk about the offense in a minute, but we'll start with the defense, Lewis. You watch the Rams, and the defense is struggling. They give up 55 to Tampa. What are we worried about here?
Well, what we're worried about is the communication in the back end, first and foremost. In the secondary, these guys don't really communicate complex downfield passing combinations very well. They play a very simple scheme now. So when that happens, there really is no excuse for not really being able to game plan and scheme up some of these deep crossing patterns that they wind up getting, and or playing with better eyes when they're going up against teams that run play action pass. But something is off right now with Marcus Peters. Something is off with Aqib Talib, John Johnson, the safeties, Eric Weddle. These guys, you saw them last week against the Tampa Bay Bucks. You saw Eric Weddle getting these guys on the sideline together over and over again and trying to encourage them and implore them to play better. But if you watch that game, they were very soft in their coverage as far as not really challenging people. Last night, the communication on that 2-man route where DK Metcalf catches the long touchdown, that's a 2-man route against cover 3. And you have safeties running up into the line of scrimmage. You have Marcus Peters basically just jogging behind him like, hey, that's not my guy. It's not befitting of the kind of professionalism that these guys typically exude, especially last year at the end of the year. They better get it corrected quickly.
Yeah, Lewis, what you're talking about is selfish defense.
Yeah.
You have you have 11 individual contractors, right? That's what we call them because they're independent contractors because there is a game plan to beat a team that has a Russell Wilson. And it starts with communication. It starts with saying, I'm not just going to rip up the field, Aaron Donald, and then create these big gaps in the running game. Right. I'm not just going to sit here and leave my corner on an island to run literally 80 yards all the way diagonal with one of the fastest guys on their team. Like, they have to communicate and play team defense.
I want to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. Aaron Donald, whom everyone lauds as probably the best defensive player in the sport.
He is.
And there was that highlight last night where he just blows right through the line of scrimmage so no one's touching him. But you're saying that sometimes that's creating problems for his own defense.
100%. Sometimes that creates problems because, to simplify it, if you have a flat wall, it's hard for a running back to figure out where he's going to go and you tackle him at the line of scrimmage. As soon as you have a crease and you have Aaron Donald do what he does, and he is the best player, I understand why he's doing it, but every time if you do that, you can game plan that, and you can run right behind that.
So I played in Wade Phillips' defense for 3 years, and what he loves to do, he marries the rush with the coverage. They play tight press coverage a lot of times. Now they're playing back because they know they can't get there, and Russell buys time, and then that elongates the coverage in the back end. They can't be as tight. They cannot be as aggressive. And Aqib Talib is not a guy that wants to be playing down the field 4 and 5 seconds into the play.
All right, I have so much more on this game I want to get to, but there's a million things I need to bring you this morning. We will come back to this, but let me run the hurry up here, and let me get to Odell Beckham. Freddie Kitchens told reporters that Beckham is getting frustrated because he's getting Vilma. What do you make of this?
There is truth to it. Does that mean that Odell Beckham is a bad player or anything like that? No, he's playing actually really good football. And the reason they're holding him is because he's such a good player. Yeah. I watched him when he didn't get the ball, and he was still downfield. Jarvis Landry ran a reverse. Odell Beckham outran him to try to throw a block for Jarvis Landry. So he is a very, very good player, and there is truth behind what Freddie Kitchens is saying. All
right, let me get you to Saquon Barkley next. He continues to work his way back from a high ankle sprain and reportedly feels good. We'll talk about him a little bit later. Then let me get you to Stephon Diggs, who was back at practice yesterday, one day after his absence from practice fueled speculation he wanted to be traded. When he talked to the media yesterday, he did not make any effort to shut that talk down.
I feel like there's truth to all rumors, you know? I mean, no matter how you dress it up, I won't be saying nothing on it. I won't be speaking on it at all. But there is truth to all rumors, I guess.
Have you asked for a trade?
I haven't communicated anything. More so, the conversation I have has only been about team and trying to have success on the field. I can't sit up here and act like everything is okay, because it's obviously not. But what I can say is, at this point, just trying to work through it.
There's truth to all rumors. That's the opposite of shutting it down. Right? That's like pouring gasoline on this fire. What gives?
He's basically saying, I didn't ask for a trade. My representation may have asked for a trade. And in all fairness to Stephon Diggs, when he signed his extension last year, this was not the offense that he signed up for. Him and Adam Thielen were getting the ball pushed down the field. They were throwing it a lot. And then this year, I think Mike Zimmer realized we didn't have success that way. We have a great defense. Let's play defense. Let's utilize Dalvin Cook, who's probably the best young running back in the game, and we'll see what we can do that way. So I understand his frustration. He's trying. I think he's a good teammate, and he's trying to do everything he can while also kind of let it known out in the league that, hey, I'm available. Someone come get me. Bill Belichick, come get me here to the New England Patriots. Let's go win a Super Bowl.
What is this a signal of a bigger problem they have in Minnesota right now?
Yeah, I think it's a signal that, look, Stephon Diggs is aware of the fact that they're going in a direction right now as far as trying to win football games that doesn't really benefit him from a statistical and a utilization standpoint, all right?
They just spent $84 million on a quarterback.
Exactly. I know. And you know what? And sometimes, you know what, there's misevaluations. And they obviously misevaluated this situation as far as thinking that Kirk was going to be the person that would put them over the hump in a way that Case Keenum couldn't. Again, though, I think this is indicative of a bigger shift change in the NFL that Steve Young alluded to a couple weeks ago, which is the top 1% of players in the NFL. When they're in the prime of their careers as far as their production is concerned, if they don't feel as though they're being utilized the right way, they're going to make enough noise to try and make a change. And Stephon Diggs is a unique player. Go ahead and put him on the open market and see how many teams are sitting there clamoring for him. They'll come and get him in just like that. I think you're going to see that more and more. The top 1%, not everyone, but guys like this who feel as though they have a market out there, This is how they're going to react.
I feel like I want to ask you what may seem like a ridiculously simple question, but just how good is Stephon Diggs? He shares the catches with Thielen. There's a bunch of other guys out there more productive. How good is he?
Look, he's a very good all-around wide receiver. You're talking about somebody who has low 4.4 speed, about 6'1", 190, 195 pounds, that can catch and run with the best of them. This is a guy, you put the ball in his hands, he's electric. He can make electric plays. Playmakers are at a premium in the NFL, Greeny. Again, just go ahead, in a perfect world, go ahead and put him out there on the street and see what happens. You'll have teams fighting to the death to get him.
You put him on a team with a Drew Brees, a Tom Brady, where they're going to throw the ball and put jump balls up there where a guy's a great contested ball catcher. He's a 100-catch guy, maybe a 100-plus catch guy. Like, he is unbelievable, and they got a steal when they drafted him lower because no one really understood how good I think he was. He's outplayed his contract. I don't blame him for being upset because he knows how good he is. They know how good he is. It's just that's not the way they want to play right now.
There's a team in the nation's capital that could really use a guy
like
this. And he's from Maryland.
He's from Baltimore.
I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, I would be falling all over myself trying to get him there.
So I get it. So maybe the headline you're going to see in the paper this morning is that Stephon Diggs wants to be traded. Maybe the real story here is they're losing confidence in their quarterback in Minnesota.
Absolutely.
We'll talk more about that as we go. But let's get to the controversy in baseball. Yesterday, Game 1, postseason, Ronald Acuna Jr., the young superstar of the Braves, taking on the Cardinals in Game 1 of the NLDS. Bottom of 7. Braves are leading it 3-1. The bases are clear, and Acuna Jr. sends one up the right side. Now, I don't know if he thinks this is going in the seats foul or he thinks it's going over the wall. But either way, he doesn't think he needs to run. As you'll take another look here, this ball winds up coming an easy carom back off the wall. But watch Acuna. Is he busting it? He's doing the opposite of busting it. Whatever the opposite of that is, that's what he's doing. And he winds up not scoring. He actually winds up getting doubled off second later in the inning. So keep that in mind. We go to the top of 9th now. It's a tie game at 3. Bases are juiced for Marcell Ozuna, and he brings the juicer. In his first career playoff game, 2 runs will score, and the Cardinals take a 5-3 lead. And they wouldn't be done either. He would add more. They would wind up taking a 7-3 lead into the bottom of the 9th. And that's where things would get interesting again. Down 7-3 after a leadoff walk. Here's Acuna again, and he hits a home run. He knocks that one off Carlos Martinez. That's a 2-run shot. Now, again, it only brings them within 2 in a game in which he cost his team a run. And watch him coming around the bases here. Not quite sure how that's going to play a little bit later, especially if they don't come back and win, which they don't. After a Freddie Freeman home run, the Braves get within 1, but then they go down swinging. Nick Markakis at the plate goes down, and the Cardinals win 7-6.
He should have been on second. And we're kind of shorthanded to do anything about it right there. You hate to see that happen.
It's frustrating, but I think you have that conversation once. Become a dead horse, kind of beat the dead horse after, if you keep having that same conversation over and over again. I mean, you got to know that was a mistake. So that can't happen in the playoffs. Can't happen in the regular season. So unfortunately, that happened tonight.
Eduardo Perez joins us here. His teammates and his manager not really making an effort to defend him there. What is your perspective on what we saw last night, Eduardo?
I think his teammates and his manager were right. I mean, the bottom line is this. You have to be able to play the game the right way, even if it's not October. But this is October, and this is going to make headlines. You are a star player. You are the golden child. You have over 40 home runs on the year. Listen, run it out. It's that simple. You're up by 2. You know that the St. Louis Cardinals are a relentless team. Play the game the right way. If you get on second base, you're in scoring position. You look at that dugout. Everybody in that dugout is pumped up. You're pointing fingers at it, and you get everybody's morale up. Instead, now you stay at first base. Everyone's shoulders like, dude, what are you doing, man? We've been through this over again. We saw it in August, and you're doing the same thing now in October in Game 1 when the Atlanta Braves have yet to win a game in a long time, the Game 1 of a playoff game in a long time. Listen, man, we need you. We need you in a big way. Yeah, you went 3 for 4. Yes, you hit a home run after, but that didn't matter. What mattered was you did not run.
Eduardo, I have 10 seconds here. Is there any chance you don't start him today? He's a young superstar player.
No. He hits first and he hustles every time. Even he runs. He plays. They don't win if Ronald Acuna Jr. is not in that lineup.
All right, Eduardo, thank you so much for jumping in here. We'll try and get a little more on this as we go. It's such a busy morning. Coming up here on Get Up, If the Cowboys want to get their offense going again, just give Zeke the ball.